This episode, Hiring a Contractor, the first in a short series. The Handyman Pros start a discussion on hiring contractors. What should you be concerned with and how to avoid potential problems? Welcome to the Handyman Pros radio show. Home improvement and maintenance tips from the pros. Thanks for listening to another edition of the Handyman Pros radio show, where our goal is to help save you time, money, and aggravation. This edition is entitled Hiring a Contractor, Part 1. And to help me explain, I'm here with my ever-cheerful co-host and old buddy, John. John, what's been going on this week?
Well, I don't have to tell you, right? We were just out doing some big flooring projects, and man,
I thought we didn't do flooring projects.
Yeah, I thought we didn't do them either. But after I looked back on some of the video that we took, I was actually there, so I did it.
Your knee, I understand your knees are actually still there.
Oh man, I'm telling you, it was great. It was great to get that the exercise, if you want to call it that, but also to get back into doing some flooring stuff, and that just kind of it was a big project.
Yeah, it was, and we put down some luxury vinyl tiles so that the people understand, or LVP, LVT, whatever you want to call it, and came out, looked great. We were actually, I guess, John, we got paid for the job, but we were sort of testing it for ourselves. We wanted to see which we did an installation with samples and stuff. We tried it out.
Exactly, and I really like that. I really like that stuff, and I'm going to put it in my bathroom and also down in my basement too. But I'll save that. So anyways, it got me to think about, these are big projects, and not that big, but it was for two of us working. Yeah. It was big. It was big enough, and it was about a 3-day project, all told. Pick up, delivery, clean up. The whole bit. So and that kind of flows into what we're talking here today about some medium to bigger projects.
Yeah, and actually hiring contractors, right?
And hiring a contractor to do those kind of things. These are the kind of projects where I look at that and say, look, these are some things that people are really set up to do. For instance, it might be a big flooring project where you don't want to take it on. It might be a kitchen remodel, a bathroom remodel, or even something that's a complete, renovation from a studs out type of, deal.
Yeah, basically, we're talking about significant amounts of money, right? Let's rephrase that. We're gonna talk a little bit about the scope of the project, but it's a good amount of money and really quite a bit of time. 3 days isn't huge, of course, and for us, this wasn't too bad. But let's talk about some of these issues that are out there if you're going to hire a contractor for a larger project, more than, say, a handyman where it's going to be a couple of days, but say it's going to be a week-long project, something like that. What do you think?
Exactly, and these are the kind of things. Now, I will tell you that I just went through a lot of this about a year ago, and it does get to be, the scope of the project can, and we're going to talk about this in a second, but, you're going to get scope creep. You're going to get intrusion into your private life.
Yep.
And it really does grate on you. So, anybody out there that's thinking about this, there's a few things that you should listen to, hear and consider what you're going to get yourself into. These are things that, are really nice to haves, and everybody goes through them, but just kind of be, the smart consumer on the front end that, what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah, these are all things that you can anticipate, right? Things we're going to talk about. So let's just get into scope of project. It basically, you've got to understand, right? This is a project management type program,
exactly.
Right? You're going to do this project, and trust me, what seems simple rarely is. We discuss that over and over and over. We even talk about hanging pictures and how everybody thinks, oh, that's just easy. It's like, no, it's a little more involved than you want to believe. But depending on the project, should we choose a project, John, do you think?
You can certainly talk about one, Larry. You know?
Yeah, let's just talk about doing, I don't know, like a bathroom remodel. I just did one last fall, so it's kind of top of mind. So because it's good to use an example, right?
Sure.
So you think about like just think about that. So you're going to do a bathroom remodel, and this applies to any. I don't care what you're doing; it doesn't matter. But think about all the things involved, right? So we're doing that bathroom remodel. The first thing I'm in there looking at is, number one, I've got a demo project, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've also got plumbing, I've got electrical to do in there, I've got tile to do in there, I've got drywall to do in there. I actually had to replace a window in that bathroom, so I had a window job. It turned into a bit of a siding job as well. This is the complexity of the project, right? This is the scope of the project. How many different areas are you actually going to be involved with doing this job, right? And depending on the size of the job, they can get really complex sometimes. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And these are, from the person who's going to hire a contractor to do this, you really need to understand how it is done up front and what needs to be purchased and when, because you're going to make decisions about measurements and, all kinds of details that you want to get your arms around. So there is this complexity in the size of the scope of the project, and you're really going to wind up being your own project manager, and you really need to understand what that entails. Now, when I say that, you're going to have the people on the other side, the contractors are going to, of course, they're going to manage the project on their side, but you need to be aware of how this is done, because it's going to cut down on stress in your private life.
Right. When we say that, we do want to be clear. We're not asking you to understand the nuts and bolts of doing these projects, but we want you to understand I guess what we're saying is we want you to ask questions of your people, like how long do you think this is going to take? What kind of things are we going? So it's all about asking questions. Because let's talk about I wrote social and personal implications and how does it affect your life, right? And so people always forget this. And when John and I, even when I'm doing a simple handyman job, if it's 2 or 3 days, I tell people, look, it's going to be 2 or 3 days. I'm going to be in here from basically this time to that time. And I do that because I want people to understand that they're going to have a stranger in their house. Maybe a stranger, maybe not, whatever, but you're going to have somebody in your house, and there's things that are going to go on, right? So if I'm using a tile saw or whatever, say I'm doing this bathroom job, I'm using a tile saw, it's noisy. And it's dusty, and it's messy, and it's all of that stuff. And if you're trying to do something in your house and you've got construction going on, I don't know about you, John, but does that ever bode well? In my house, it's horrible.
Yeah, even when we just had, and I know we were using a bathroom remodel as an example, but even when we had the inside of our house painted, we had the inside of our house painted top to bottom, and let me tell you, I was, it really was, after we had our floors done, it was really just, I was ready to just say, okay, enough, because everything is, everything is covered or has to be moved. Everything has to be moved, covered, and you've got a crew of guys in there just working. And you know what? Your place isn't yours anymore. So you just have to, really have to understand that, because with all that noise and everything, you just, you become stress.
It can be, right? The best thing to do was Stacey and I have this great thing. We move out when we're doing big projects.
We had to do this. Yeah, we had to do the same thing for the flooring. We actually moved out, but
So those are things to think about, right? That's our point. Our point is think about what's going on. One of the other things we talk about saving time, money, and aggravation, right? So this all plays into it. But part of it is, and we don't want to be judges on this, but we really want you to think about, if you're going to do these projects, how much of an investment is it into your property, and is that investment actually worth it? Because you can live in a neighborhood, right, John, and you can be in the I don't care what neighborhood it is, but you can be if your house is the lowest priced property in the neighborhood, you have some runway to actually do some improvements and get a return on your investment, right? Now, if you're the most expensive house in your neighborhood and you add more money into it, does that actually increase your value of your house? And there's a lot of factors that go into that, and we don't want to get into that really long discussion on that. But at the end of the day, it's got to be worth it to you to do these things. And you need to think about those things, because we see it. I see it a lot, John, where people put money into a house, or they put money into I think I see it the most is people want to repair what they have when they should just replace. And one of my favorites is like faucets. So somebody's got a 15-year-old faucet, and they want me to come in and repair the seals on it. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I can repair the seals, but I can replace it for about the same cost as the cost of the repair, you know. And so I always just think of it that way: is it worth it to repair it, or is it just better to replace it, you know, and that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So there's just some of that needs to go on. You know, is this something that you can do, or is this a complete remodel renovation? And then we also want you to think about who you're hiring, right? So a question of, you know, lots of times in the handyman side, people ask us, you know, do you think I can do this? And so you have to know somebody's skill level and things like that. So is it actually something you can do or not? We have some friends who believe that you can do anything you want to do as long as you have the right friends that can help you with it. And so, you know, we agree with that to a degree, but is it something you actually want to try on your own? So there's some thinking there. And then again, back to who you're hiring, you know, like, so, and we're going to get into that more. This is what we're talking about, hiring contractors, right? So who are you hiring? John, there's the famous triad we talk about.
Yeah. So like, I go back to the project management. You know, you kind of got to you think of yourself as that. And part of project management is the classic triad of, you know, in this case, time, quality, and money. And that's really on a triangle, and they're not going to meet. You know, if you want quality, you're not going to get it cheaply.
Right.
And it might take some time.
Right.
If you're, you know, going to go for lower quality, you know, you don't have the money, then you're going to get some lower quality, and it might take less time. So round and round you go on that. But you really do need to set your expectation when you're planning out what you're going to do. Yeah,
and so, as we say, it's time, quality, and money. You can have two, but you can't have all three.
Correct.
You know, you can have it done fast, but it's either going to be expensive or it's going to be of lesser quality. You know, you can have it be inexpensive, and it can be of high quality, but it's going to take you forever. You know, you're never going to get all three together. And if you do get all three together, would you please send us their names so that we can use them? Because, you know, that's just kind of one of those things.
Yeah.
I think so. One of the other things is when we get into that triad is you have to set your expectations, and what are your qualifications? What is it that you're actually looking to do? Because and John and I see this when people hire us, if they have we talk about mindset, we're talking about the inexpensive mindset is different than the value-driven mindset kind of thing. Because if you just want to do it cheap, that's what you're going to get. It's going to be cheap. As we're being value-driven, to us anyway, seems to be, or at least to me, seems to be a little more appropriate. You know, I have great quality value in particular, but quality and or time, just depending. But have the expectations and have your qualifications, and think about them before you start the program, because it just helps everybody if you're in that mindset. And John, do you have anything to say on that?
No, that's exactly right. That you just to be aware of the things that we're talking about here is really going to lower the stress in your life doing the job like this.
Yeah, it has a couple of effects. It lowers the stress. It's going to get you a better job because you'll have your expectation up front. So you're going to meet your expectations, right? And then it's actually going to help you when it comes to our next topic, which is who are you going to hire? It's going to help you in the hiring process. John, question: when somebody comes to hire you, and they say, I want this, 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 and this done, and I want it done this way. Do you appreciate that, or do you want somebody that says, well, I don't know, well, I think I want, I don't know. It really helps contractors in general, and I'm generalizing, but most contractors they want good direction from their person that's hiring them. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, yes, I do, because it's going to lower the stress on their side too. I mean, let's be fair. There is, you hear a lot of horror stories about people, contractors out there, but there's two sides. There's there's actually three sides to every story. But they have to understand what your desire is, what you would like out of this the outcome of this project.
Yeah.
So
vision is really important. Vision is really important.
Right. So impart that vision on them so that they can understand exactly what they need to be doing. Because if you don't, then they're going to go about guessing, and that's not that's ultimately, you don't want that.
You don't want that. So let's talk about setting qualifications for contractors. Basically, this is going to help you weed out undesirable candidates, right? So we've got some tips here. One of them is, do you want to work with a small, medium, or large group? And John, go into some of the details on just what the opinions are on the differences between small contractors, medium contractors, and large contractors.
Yeah, well, if you work with a smaller outfit, they might be fantastic. Okay, it might be a very boutique type of contractor that is very specific into our model here today was a bathroom remodel.
Right.
And they might be very, very good at that. Now, they're not going to have the personnel and things like that, so it might take them more time to get to your project, to start the project, those kind of things. In a medium or larger group, that might not be that issue. Now, the medium or larger groups, they have more people. It's kind of a real business, a big business. And, they might be able to get out there a lot sooner. They've got people to deploy onto this project, and that might be fantastic. But just know that they might not be as good as the smaller guys. But so, we go back to the time, money, quality type of thing. But
it's all a question of choices, yeah, right? And
it's all the choices.
Yeah,
right?
it depends. As we like to say, the small contractors are the guys, just the guy that's himself, and maybe he's got one or two people that work with him. But he basically drives his own truck, and he gets out there and he works largely off referral. He might do a little bit of advertising, and he might have a website, he might not. Just depends. But you'll see these guys, and you'll know who they are, and they generally do really good work. If they don't do good work, they're not in business for very long. At least by themselves. They might work for somebody. Medium-sized companies offer the benefits of both large and small. Sometimes, they usually have pretty good guys that work for them, but they generally, and they do a little bit of advertising, but they don't do a ton. And then large groups are generally more expensive. They're generally faster. They're a little more corporate. They're less personalized, and that kind of thing. But that's all really, what is it that you're looking to do? What is it that what's in your goals? What are you thinking about? So those are just some of the considerations. We always talk about, are they licensed as well? Particularly the smaller contractors. You really need to verify their licensing. Now, different states, different municipalities have different licensing requirements, and so you do have to look at what your local requirements are, because depending on where you are, like just for example, in the handyman business, it's really tough to find a handyman in Florida because you have to have a license for almost everything. There are some handymen out there in Florida. They are grandfathered in before these laws were put into place. But as we're in Georgia, and we know in Georgia that there's tons of handymen, because handymen, it's just the way the local laws are written. But generally better to have somebody that's licensed, particularly for some of the things like electrical and trades, things that are actually, or not trades, but plumbing, electrical, things like that. You kind of want to make sure they're licensed. But verify that they're still valid. Do they have a current license, right?
Right. And I'll pause you there, Larry, and this as well as I do, because we followed up from a couple of contractors, and one of them that we followed up didn't even have a license.
Yep.
It wasn't even valid anymore.
Yep.
That's not a good thing to portray yourself as a contractor and you are not licensed.
Right.
So, anyways.
Insurance, they need to have insurance. Pretty much, even handyman. I mean, we do, and it's very nominal cost, but it covers everybody. They should be able to send you a copy of their insurance certificate, or it should be posted on their website. Just depending. Again, check the expiration dates and the coverage of the certificate. It's worthwhile to take a look. Anybody that's truly a professional is going to have insurance of some kind. We also, for us, John, you and I, we can provide a background check. I mean, in the case of yours, it's generally from the Atlanta Federal Penitentiary. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Yeah. I got my release papers.
You got your release papers. But no, but they should be able to supply a background check. I mean, you can get a background check done for about $40, and so I don't know about you, John, but I mean, I get mine done every year, and I think I'm actually due. But anyway, I get it done, and if somebody asks for it, I can send it to them. It's just it's really a nominal fee, but it just lets you know that somebody's not, basically a criminal. They're going to be in your house, right? They're going to be on your property. And depending, just kind of cheap insurance in my book. Mm-hmm. You got anything to add there?
It's good. It's good advice. There's a lot of good points here that people need to consider as they look over this project.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the other ones that I'm big on associations, right? So national associations or local state organizations. People this is my opinion, but I think it's worthwhile to take a look at. Companies that are members of associations tend to have a different level of professionalism. So I know myself, I'm a member of the Association of Certified Handyman Professionals. I get a lot of really good information from being a member of that group. They send me, updates and things on some of the laws and just some of the concerns and things like that. But there's about 1 million trade contractors associations, and you can just do a Google search depending on who you're looking at. But there's groups for plumbers, there's groups for heating and air conditioning guys, there's state associations, there's all kinds of things. Mm-hmm. But generally, if somebody joins one of those groups and they show, if it's on their website or if it's or they show it on the side of their truck, to me that shows a level of professionalism. And right. I think you're going to get a little better quality out of somebody that's looking around the whole industry versus somebody that's just narrowly focused in their little world.
That's a good point. That's a good point, because if you're in these associations, they kind of keep you thinking in the direction of professionalism, like you were talking about.
Yep.
They bring up a lot of things that, if you're pounding nails every day or you're applying tile and things like that, you're not thinking about, but you should be thinking about the greater good of this whole of the whole industry.
Right. Yep.
And the best practices.
Best practices, yeah. And also they, and in many ways they also give some advantages. Like I know in my case, the Association of Certified Handyman Professionals actually gives me a break on my insurance plus a few other things. So I actually get value out of being a member of those groups because it's worth it for me to do it. It gives me some, it gives me some places that I couldn't get to on my own. So that's one of the other things. Johnny, this next one's a big one. We talk about this all the time. If you're doing a bigger job, right, are they local to you?
Yep. And I had a well, let's just say it's a neighbor that was working with a contractor. I mean, the guy lived 2 hours away, and he had nothing but trouble. And the contractor could have been the nicest guy in the world, but that's a long way to travel every day. And there's all kinds of moving parts that can break down, just getting to your place in the morning.
Yeah, just the commute to the job, right?
Just to commute to the job. And it's just, it is just very hard to communicate with people, let alone, just getting things done. So, it was really, I think, a real strain for him, and he wound up that the guy just left.
Yeah, he left and didn't finish the job, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. So now you're stuck looking for another contractor to finish the job.
Yeah, and we, as we like to say, you want somebody that's kind of part of your community, right? I mean,
Right.
you want somebody that they don't have to be. I mean, it depends on where you live and all of that thing. For some people, that 2-hour commute might be what they actually have to do because of just
Right.
geography
Sure.
and all of that. But if we're in a major metro, we're outside Atlanta, Georgia, and 2 hours in Atlanta can easily, just from traffic alone, turn into 3 or 4 hours, like in an accident,
right.
in a single accident.
Right.
And so we're really a big proponents of get somebody local. It means you might have to wait. If somebody's worth their salt, you're gonna have to wait. But have somebody close, because John, I think both you and I, we've been in after people. I know both you
Yep.
and I on separate
Yep.
jobs, and we've talked about these before, but these guys walk off the job. They get 90% done, and they're like, I'm sick of this 2-hour drive, blah, 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 and they get
That's
some
correct. That's
little
exactly right.
local job that's close to them, and they leave you hanging. And then and then you're actually in a worse position than if you had waited to begin with, because John, do you like going in behind somebody?
Yeah, no, it's a bigger job to fix things than it is to do it right the first time. And that is correct. What they do is sometimes people will say, I am tired of that drive or that commute, and now I've found another job closer to me, and they just kind of drop it. So it's not fair to them. It's not fair to you when you have somebody that's that far away. Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't. Sometimes it's you have to get somebody who lives that far away. It depends on where you live, and that's totally logical. I think the point here, though, is the ability to communicate. Yes, I know that we have cell phones and email and things like that, but there's nothing like a face-to-face. And we're going to talk about this further in another install of our episodes here. But just a contract with these people of the expectation. And if they're not around and it's not a face-to-face, I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to feel comfortable if you have a big, in this case, a big bathroom remodel going on, that you're just not getting those kind of, personalized updates.
Right. And again, it's kind of back to that can be a $50,000 plus. It can be $20 plus $1,000. Let's just
easily.
Right? Easily. In our world, that really is a lot of money. And if I'm getting if I'm spending that kind of money, I would like a good service provider. That's me, but we hope that you as listeners are going to feel that way as well. References. So, John, let's talk a little bit about references.
So here's a couple of things about references. One is that, to be fair, is that a lot of times people might not leave you there might be something that people will not leave you a good reference on, like a Yelp or on a review like that. Now, I see them all the time. There could be all kinds of circumstances, whatever happened in that relationship. That guy could have been, the guy there could be the greatest contractor, but he might have gotten sick. His wife might have gotten sick. Something happened where he couldn't have been there. Once again, it's a communication, but, things do happen. And now, you're just kind of get sideways with each other. What I would say about references is don't just look at Yelp, or just don't make phone calls to prior people that have used this particular contractor you might be getting close to employing, but go visit. Ask if you can see the work yourself, because there's nothing like to see the work that you are about to embark on.
Yeah. To inspect what you expect,
Exactly.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I will make one comment too, just on online reviews and online references. Do be you have to read them all. And
Yes.
John, you know from our RC world, right? I mean, you get into these things and you read these and you're like, wow, you like in that world, you would say be looking at a motor, and you could actually tell that some of those reviews were written by the guys that actually produced the motors, largely because they didn't speak English as a first language. So you could actually tell. But the point is that people consult their references online and do read some of the how do we want to say it? The intonations or things. I notice, like particularly in food, if you go into some of the really what we would like to call really fine dining restaurants, they don't generally rate 5 stars. They generally rate lower than that, and they rate lower than that because people will put in their reviews the portion sizes were too small, or the whatever, it's too expensive, or all of that kind of thing. And so their star ratings tend to be a little bit lower, whereas the quality of the food is outstanding. But the point is that you know what you want, and if you read all of the reviews, then you'll get a better understanding of exactly what it is you're trying to do. Because if you read enough of them, people will give you the information that you're looking for. Now, what do you do if somebody doesn't have a lot of reviews, which is really common in smaller contractors? You just have to dig. You got to say, hey, can I get in and go see some of your people? And say, actually, I'd like to talk to your worst customer. And if they won't let you talk to their worst customer, then, that's a point of it's a point of reference. I mean, I'll let somebody talk to a customer of mine that's not happy. It's no problem, because I know where the breakdown problems are from the beginning, or after the fact. I know where they are. But anyway, that's references. And then the last thing, the last thing is warranty. So do they have a warranty, and what's their warranty procedure, right? And so everybody should have some kind of warranty. Do you agree with that, John?
Absolutely. Because in this case, we're talking about a bathroom remodel, and if you're putting in tubs and showers, are they going to leak? Are they going to, what could go wrong here? Faucets leaking, all those kind of things, and you want some kind of recourse, somebody to help you and follow up to make sure that it's fixed correctly. So, absolutely. Once again, it's you got to look at this as a holistic thing, and you're kind of the project, that you're kind of the manager of this whole thing, and just keep an eye on it from the beginning to the end, and then after the job is completed.
Yeah. And my only take on warranty is just make sure that there is some kind of warranty, and make sure it's adequately long enough. So, John, you and I, we see this a lot in new construction, right? So most new construction has a 1-year warranty. Well, and we laugh about this, but we don't really laugh about it. We actually end up with a lot of jobs like this where somebody hasn't caulked something properly and water is intruding in, and the next thing you know, they've got wood rot. Well, wood rot takes, years, John, generally? A couple of years to start. And, and the people are going, well, this is brand new. And I'm like, well, I understand it's brand new, but he didn't install it properly to begin with. So now you've got a rot problem,
Right. And as we get into this more detail, when you're talking about bathroom install, there's a lot of new systems, Schluter systems and things like that. I mean, well, let's not go into detail here, but if they're not installed correctly, they can be a problem, and they're behind your tile, and it's a big deal. So
it's not very good. Yeah.
you do need to understand what your recourse is and what kind of warranty that these the folks will provide you.
Well, this is a great place for us to break right here. We're going to we'll have a next installment in this series. We're going to discuss communication styles, how to describe your vision, how to start searching for contractors, because this is all, again, part of the process. And so we really want some feedback. If you have any feedback for us, please join our Facebook page at Handyman Pros. Send us an email at questions@handymanprosradioshow.com. Or send us a cue through Facebook, or there's about 1 million different ways to get a hold of us, John and I. You can actually even call us. But anyway, we are going to move forward with this process. Again, this is the first in a multi-series process, and we hope that you have enjoyed this show. John, I think the spaceship has landed.
Got the tool bag out, baby.
All right,
and
awesome.
The jack. Gonna take it apart.
Sounds like a plan. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've enjoyed this podcast and have derived some value from it, here's 4 things you can do. 1, tell your friends about this podcast. 2, hit subscribe on your podcast player. While you're there, leave us a review. 3, subscribe to our newsletter by going to handymanprosradioshow.com and click on the subscribe button. We'll inform you of upcoming events, shows, and give you actionable tips for maintaining your home and property. And 4, send us an email with your questions to questions@handymanprosradioshow.com. That's handymanprosradioshow.com. That's our show for this week. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week on the Handyman Pros radio show.